David was a college student, came from a totally secular background, no connection to any religious observance whatsoever. But in his second year in college, so he got a little, he met some rabbis, and he got in touch with some people, and he started to take on a few things, and he started to get in touch with his Judaism and his Yiddishkeit. And about 6 months later, so he was convinced that he's going to spend a few months in Israel, in a yeshiva called Isha Torah. And so he did. He spent around 3-4 months in Isha Torah, and he grew tremendously. He started taking on kashrus, Shabbos, and he was inspired. He was living on cloud 9. But the day came that he had to go back home to America. And before he went back home, he made a commitment to himself that he's going to maintain whatever happened, Shabbos and kashrus, back in America. And it might sound simple to you, but he was going back to a place in America where his family, his friends, had no connection whatsoever. And not only would they not support him, they would belittle him. And they would show him no mercy, and they would not give him any help whatsoever. So the commitment that he made was no small thing. But he did it. He went back to America, and the first week he kept Shabbos. That meant sitting alone in the dark room with his candlelight and his Kiddush cup, and that's it really. He did it for the second week also, and what was happening, so his friends were usually partying Friday nights, and his family were doing their own thing, and there was nothing but him and his level of observance of Shabbos. Came the third week, he figured, like, I can't do this anymore. It's getting too hard. Like, I need a bit of help. And Friday night, so he made a decision. Now, before we carry on the story, so I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent. Now, some of you may know there's most of you obviously don't know, but there's a famous chat show called David Letterman. So he was one time interviewing Tom Hanks. Now, Tom Hanks at the time just came back from Eretz Yisrael. And so David Letterman was asking him the obvious questions like, you know, how's your vacation? Did you enjoy it? What are the Israelis like? And amongst the questions he asked him, did you learn any Hebrew? And he said, yeah, sure. So the interview carried on. At the end of the interview, the camera is turned to Tom Hanks, and David Letterman says to Tom Hanks, tell the cameras, what Hebrew did you learn? Right? Back to our story. So, our David, he's sitting by himself on a Friday night in a dark room. He just sang Shalom Aleichem, and he's sitting to himself thinking, he says, listen God, I want to do this. I want to keep Shabbos. It means a lot to me. But you're going to have to give me a sign. Give me a bit of help over here. He says, you know what, God? I give you till 12 o'clock. If there's no sign by then, then I know what I'm going to do. 12 o'clock comes, nothing. But David was very sincere, and he wanted to keep Shabbos. He said, listen, God, I'm giving you another 15 minutes. But that's it. 12:15 comes along. He's still sitting in the dark room. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. So he takes the remote control and says, I'm sorry. Kicks it on. And there and behold, what does he see? He sees Tom Hanks turning to the camera saying, Shabbat Shalom, David! David is now a rabbi in Los Angeles. Right? He never watched TV again. On Shabbos, anyway. So just Hashgacha Pratis. The second story that I wanted to say was, I guess, more on a serious note. But again, the true story. This happened in the year 1998. Swiss airline. So We'll call him Shmulik. So Shmulik regularly flies from New York to Geneva. So as he goes, he's about to board the flight, and he boards, and everything is going as usual. And you know how it is. You sit on the plane, you get comfortable, you make sure the guy sitting in front of you is forward, right? You got room space, your stuff's already inside and on the top deck, and you have your pillow in place, and you're just relaxing, right? And a few minutes as they're about to take off, so 2 security guards get on the plane, and they ask him, is your name so-and-so? Says yes. Listen, we don't know why, but apparently you gotta come with us. What? Apparently there's something wrong with your ticket. You have to come with us. So, I mean, he starts trying to explain himself that he doesn't understand what's wrong, but nothing doing. These 2 burly security guards lift him up, literally, take him off the plane. You can imagine the embarrassment that he's going through whilst it's happening, right? As everyone's saying, crook, you didn't pay for the ticket, holding up everyone else. And okay, so they take it down to the office. By this time he's fuming. His stuff is by the way still on the plane. And they tell him, listen sir, sorry that we had to get so drastic on you, but apparently you have not paid for your ticket. He says, what do you mean? Of course I pay my ticket. I always pay my ticket. Like he's flying on a weekly basis. Okay, so they check the computer, and lo and behold, a computer glitch. Okay, fine. So he's about to board the plane again. The plane's already gone. So he missed his flight. His stuff's on the plane, and everything's gone. So you can imagine how he's feeling at this moment in time, and his family expecting him. This was the Swiss airline 111 that actually crashed in the Atlantic Ocean on September 2nd, 1998. So Hashem sent 2 security guards, not one, right, to pull him off the plane so he would not be involved in it, right? So now, the point that I wanted to illustrate from both these stories and connected to Chanukah is that if you want to, you can rationalize both these stories. That Hashem had no involvement whatsoever, really. I mean, so fate, coincidence, it happened to be that as David switched on the TV, that's what happened. It was David Letterman. And it happened to be that this guy had a glitch in his computer, so he didn't pay for his ticket, and he ended up doing it. But in the meantime, so he missed his flight. It's like, it is so obvious. Hashgacha Pratis, divine providence, Hashem's role in our lives is an opportunity for us to recognize and appreciate and to grow from. But if we want to waste it and just blame it on something else or rationalize it, Hashem lets us. But it's really our opportunity. And one of the scary messages from Chanukah that it might not be talked about so much, but to me is a tremendous insight, is that there are 2 miracles of Chanukah. And the famous question that they ask is, why do we need the menorah? We had a war where the minority overcame the majority. Wasn't that enough of a miracle? Why do we need to celebrate the 8 candles? And they give a lot of answers, but one of the answers they give is that if we just had the miracle of the war of the minority, the Chashmonaim overcoming the majority, so we could have rationalized. They surprised them. There was the element of surprise. They were having strategies, and sometimes it happens in war. And over the years, we could have rationalized it to the point where it wasn't a miracle at all. We can rationalize to ourselves almost anything, to the point where Chazal had to place, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to place in another miracle just to reinforce the original miracle. So, Hashgacha Pratis, divine providence amongst Kollel Israel, and on our own personal lives, sometimes even on a daily basis, it's the small things, but it's such an opportunity to recognize and grow from. So my bracha to everyone, that we should all take all the messages from Chanukah, but especially in our own lives to appreciate and grow from our own personal hashgacha practice.